Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks very much, everyone, and good afternoon to all of our delegates, and we appreciate you giving your time because we know how eager you all are to get onto the doorsteps, up the lamp posts with posters, and all the other things that we do during the course of an election. When we gathered at our annual conference last November, we were in the midst of a crisis that threatened the political institutions. Rather than allow the process to drift towards inevitable collapse, we took the bull by the horns and we forced the matter to a head. Over 10 weeks at Stormont House, we spent many long days and even longer nights negotiating a way forward across a range of issues. And against all the odds, we managed to hammer out a deal on issues which had for so long proved intractable. The Stormont House process was conducted in sharp contrast to the Haas process of the year before. And unlike those talks, an outcome was reached with which we were able to agree. Indeed, I have to say that in all the years I've been involved in political negotiations, I believe that the process resulted in the best outcome for unionism. As part of the Stormont House agreement, we were able to deliver on many of our long-term goals. Real progress was made in reducing and reorganising the number of government departments at Stormont, cutting the number of assembly members, providing for an official opposition, and improving how the executive will do its business. On the past, we were able to rewrite and reshape the Haas proposals in a way that defends our red lines. Real progress was made, but there continues to be a major job of work in terms of implementation. Perhaps the most challenging issues to resolve were relating to welfare reform and the executive's finances. These issues were a real threat to the viability of the Assembly and to devolution itself. For the 18 months since the Assembly's Sinn Féin leadership failed to sell the original set of welfare proposals to their Dublin bosses, devolution had been drifting towards disaster. As the months passed, Sinn Féin became more and more outspoken in attacking the very arrangements that they had provisionally agreed. It takes a special type of audacity to organise protests and petitions against a deal that you had yourself endorsed. But in the five-party talks at Stormont Castle, slowly but surely, progress was made. It was perfectly clear from the beginning that whatever the United Kingdom government was prepared to do for us financially in other areas, the one thing that was certain was that they would give nothing towards welfare reform. That meant that any support additional to what was going on in Great Britain would have to be provided by the executive and would therefore reduce the funds available for key public services such as health and education. In the end, we were able to reach a five-party agreement that included the SDLP and Sinn Féin. That agreement paved the way for a wider deal and the return of the welfare bill to the Assembly. It cleared the way for the executive to produce a balanced budget, to provide for long-term structural reform of public services, and for Parliament to pass legislation on corporation tax in Northern Ireland and for the United Kingdom. The government indicated that they would provide a worthwhile financial package for the executive and the Assembly. All of those things were agreed at Stormont House and at Stormont Castle. This was a massive breakthrough that resolved outstanding issues and created the potential for long-term financial stability and prosperity. Delivery remained on the right track up to a few weeks ago, when out of the blue, we were asked to believe that someone had turned the lights on in Connolly House and Sinn Féin suddenly realised that what they had negotiated and agreed was not what they thought they had negotiated and agreed. This represents either an alarming act of bad faith by Sinn Féin or the most inept negotiating by Republicans in the history of this process. For myself, I find it inconceivable that they didn't know or understand what was written and detailed in the documents agreed by them at Stormont. And let me make it abundantly clear, given the sums of money involved, no one with post-primary education could possibly have believed that the funding envelope in the agreement could have covered the entirety of the shortfall for each and every claimant now and forever in the future. I make some allowance for Sinn Féin's poor grasp of economics. Not even they could have thought that a fund of £20 million a year could have covered what they once claimed to be a gap of £450 million a year. And let me make one thing further clear. This is not at its heart a dispute between the DUP and Sinn Féin, as some journalists would characterise it. It is indeed no longer a quarrel or dispute between Sinn Féin and the DUP, or as the difference between their version of events and ours. When governments, local political parties, editorials and the press are lining up to condemn Sinn Féin for its U-turn, it's pretty clear where responsibility lies for the present impasse. And we mustn't allow anyone to rewrite the history of this issue. It's clear, it's unambiguous, it's inscribed in black and white for everyone to see. So, the responsibility for the present difficulty is established, beyond doubt, but nonetheless a solution has to be found. I have made it clear, and I do so again today. I'm prepared to look at how we implement the December agreement. I'm not prepared to renegotiate the December agreement. And in particular, I'm not prepared to take another penny from our vital frontline public services to solve what is at its heart an internal Sinn Féin dispute. Over the past few weeks, we have seen the hypocrisy of Sinn Féin in supporting a strike against a budget that they voted for. And that is only matched by their willingness to boost welfare payments by further cutting frontline public services that they complain need more money. Now, it is possible to provide the best welfare system in the United Kingdom and at the same time implement the Stormont House and Stormont Castle agreements. And I stand ready to find a sensible way to implement what we have already agreed. Mr. Chairman, this is an historic moment for this party and for this province. We stand on the verge of a momentous opportunity for Northern Ireland. In just 40 days' time, the United Kingdom will go to the polls to elect a new parliament and a new government. All the pollsters and predictions would suggest that no single party will have sufficient seats to form a majority. This means that the DUP will have a unique opportunity to help shape and influence the next government and to be able to get the best deal for Northern Ireland. We could have a real say in shaping the next government of the United Kingdom. Almost every serious political commentator has predicted that DUP MPs will be the kingmakers after the election. If they're right, and opinion polls suggest that, yes, they may be, then a strong and united DUP team can make a real difference to the lives of the people that we represent. No other Northern Ireland party will have the power or the influence of the DUP. Sinn Féin doesn't even attend. The SDLP have no negotiating clout whatsoever. They are already bought, paid for and already counted as part of the Labour Party's team. Single MPs and independents won't have the strength to cut a deal or form a negotiating bloc capable of making a real difference. It's just a fact. No other local party will figure in the talks that follow election day. We therefore need the strongest DUP team to get elected in order to strengthen Northern Ireland's hand in those negotiations. Every vote will count. Every seat will matter. That's why this election is so important, and that's why we take nothing for granted. We will work for every vote. This opportunity may not come around again for a political lifetime. Northern Ireland can't afford to waste the opportunity that is now presented. Today, I want to set out why this election matters so much, to publish our Northern Ireland plan, and to officially launch the election campaign. Now, every election is different in one respect or another, but this election is truly unique. Our goal is not about success for the DUP for its own sake. It's about what we can deliver for Northern Ireland. Though today marks the official start of the election campaign, the preparation work has been going on for many, many months. I believe that the forecasts are good for Northern Ireland. I believe the forecasts are good for the DUP. At long last, Unionism collectively is starting to get its act together. That's good for Northern Ireland. I was delighted to be able to announce, along with Mike Nesbitt, the most far-reaching Unionist electoral pact in almost 30 years. And it's working. How do I know? I know it's working because our political opponents are snorting and ranting. They don't like it. And I can't think of anything that antagonizes the enemies of unionism more than the idea of unionists working together. Within minutes, as soon as the historic deal with the Ulster Unionist Party was announced, our opponents were out in force, seeking to undermine, confuse, and divide. No tactic was out of bounds in order to undermine the deal. They said the DUP was running scared. They said that the Ulster Unionist Party had been sold a pup. They decried, lamented, and bemoaned the lack of choice that Unionist voters would have, though those same critics would never in a million years have considered voting for a Unionist candidate themselves. If there is one common feature in my over 40 years in politics, it is the desire from Unionist people for Unionist politicians to work together. Division costs Unionism. It always has. Split votes cost Unionism seats, and lost seats mean lost influence at Westminster and elsewhere. Whose interests are ultimately served if two or more Unionists divide, mostly over matters of detail rather than matters of principle, and allow a non-Unionist to be elected? It's simply not in the interests of Unionism. In no negotiation will everyone achieve everything that they wanted. But I believe that the deal I did with Mike Nesbitt is good for Unionism and good for Northern Ireland. In Fermanagh and South Tyrone and Newry and Armagh, I want to pay tribute to our associations who have been asked to stand aside. But make no mistake about it. In 12 months' time, at the next Assembly election, the wider interests of Unionism will be best served in these two constituencies by voting for the Democratic Unionist candidates. But again, I said, I hope even in that election, we can have a voting agreement that ensures that voting preferences go on to other Unionist candidates. Whatever anyone may think of the balance of the pact, that debate and discussion has ended. Now the deal has been done, we need to get behind the agreed candidates for the good of unionism as a whole. Now, ideally, I would have liked to see an even wider deal. I would have liked Upper Bann and South Belfast to have been included. But let's be clear, the DUP is the largest unionist party in both those constituencies. We are leading in the polls in both constituencies, and in each of them, our main challenge comes from outside unionism. In Upper Bann, there's a fine margin between the DUP and Sinn Féin, with the Ulster Unionist Party trailing behind in third place. But they are still capable of endangering the seat. Let's be clear, this is a two-horse race, if David will forgive me. It's a race between the DUP and Sinn Féin. If the seat is to be held for unionism, it will only be David Simpson who can do it. While Upper Bann remains a strongly unionist constituency, the danger to unionism is a split vote allowing Sinn Féin through the back door. That would be a disaster. The same can be said in South Belfast. This is a four-party contest. The SDLP, Sinn Féin and Alliance are chasing the DUP, who have led all parties in the last two elections in this constituency. There is now a real opportunity for the DUP to win back South Belfast for the unionist cause. And the facts here are clear for all to see. It is only the DUP that can win the seat for unionism. Unionists in South Belfast, I believe, are already uniting their efforts behind our candidate. And I can imagine no better candidate than my friend and ministerial colleague, Jonathan Bell. The UUP are miles behind the four lead parties, and the other small unionist parties in the field can only further shred the unionist vote. The message in South Belfast is clear. If you want a unionist MP, you can have one, but only by backing Jonathan Bell. Right across the province, we have a slate of candidates unmatched by any other party, both in terms of those who have a real opportunity of being elected and those who are the standard bearer for our party in other seats. Collectively, we have an unrivaled team. We have a mixture of youth and experience. From my colleague, William McRae, who was first elected in 1983 and has spent almost 25 years in the House of Commons, to the more youthful Gavin Robinson. Gavin is fighting a Westminster election for the very first time. So we span the generations. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the East Belfast contest today. But I want Gavin and his team not just to win the seat, but to do so in a manner that makes it clear that the voice of East Belfast at Westminster is unambiguously and unashamedly a unionist voice. Let me also wish Jim and Ian, William and Jeffrey, Gregory and Sammy, who's dressed up especially for this occasion today. Let me wish them all well in their re-election campaigns. I am confident that their hard work in their constituencies and at Westminster will pay dividends when people come to cast their votes. After this election, I want to see this exceptional team, led by our Deputy Leader, my friend and colleague Nigel Dodds, back to Westminster negotiating the best deal for Northern Ireland. I was always confident that Nigel would win through in North Belfast, even without a pact. But if we can persuade Unionists across the constituency to come out on election day, Nigel's re-election can be secured and assured. Let me make it clear, Unionism needs Nigel at Westminster. And we need him there. We need him there to engage in what will be a vital period of negotiations. Unionism has within its grasp the potential to move from having just 1 out of 4 seats in Belfast in Unionist hands to 3 out of the 4 seats. What better answer could there be to those who lowered the Union flag in Belfast than raising the banner of Unionism right across that great city? Over the last few months, we have not only been preparing for the elections, but we have been preparing for after the elections as well. We don't take a single vote or a single seat for granted. But if and when the opportunity arises to get the best deal for Northern Ireland, it is critical that we are ready for those negotiations. Our position after the election is clear. Our goal isn't to achieve anything for our party or ourselves, but for Northern Ireland. We will not seek, nor would we accept, any role in government, but we would demand a good deal for this province. And while other smaller regional parties have limited their options in terms of who they would be prepared to support, we have sought to maximise our options and our influence. For us, more votes and more seats really does mean more influence. We're not tied to either of the major national parties, but will be guided by what is good for Northern Ireland in particular and the United Kingdom as a whole. Since we became the largest Unionist party back in 2003, we've been working to a long-term strategy to move Northern Ireland forward and to strengthen our position within the United Kingdom. Over the past few months, we've been working on a plan to advance this strategy over the next 5 years. So today, I am publishing the DUP's plan for Northern Ireland. It is a plan designed by the DUP for the benefit of Northern Ireland. I hope it can win the support of not just our core voters, but of many people across the province who recognise the very real opportunity that presently exists to achieve key objectives. It's not our manifesto, that'll come later. This plan will serve as the agenda and guide for us in negotiations with any potential government after the election. It's a roadmap for us for the next 5 years. It sets out decisions that a UK government can take to help move Northern Ireland forward. And importantly, it also sets out the steps that we ourselves will take locally here. This document sets out our 5 key goals. The plan demonstrates a reasonable and rational approach and one that shows a vision for Northern Ireland. If we can deliver It will not only be of advantage to Northern Ireland, but to the United Kingdom as a whole. We have not sought to unpick the political agreements that have been reached in Northern Ireland, nor are we making demands that are undeliverable. We have a positive plan for Northern Ireland. We want to make Northern Ireland an economic powerhouse, deliver world-class public services for our people, create a society based on fairness and opportunity for everyone, make politics and government work better, strengthen the United Kingdom, and protect and enhance our British heritage and identity. Under each of these values, we have set out in much greater detail many of the policies and proposals through which these aspirations can be delivered. Now, we are honest and upfront. We don't expect any government to deliver every dot and comma of our plan. But we do need to see delivery of a range of the goals at the heart of our proposals if they are to elicit our support. We need to see measures that can help transform Northern Ireland. This plan will be at the heart of our election campaign. It will also be the test against which we will judge the terms of any understanding from a potential party of government. The capacity to deliver across this range of goals will be our only litmus test, nothing more, nothing less. We aren't prepared to play media games of prioritising, weighing, or negotiating the terms of any agreement in the glare of publicity, or creating artificial red lines. If the circumstances arise, we will seriously discuss the nature of any potential government's own programme and assess how compatible it is with our own. We are publishing this document at the start of the election to give the national parties the time and opportunity to understand our proposals. Just as important, we are publishing this plan to let people here in Northern Ireland see that they can join us in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to deliver for Northern Ireland. Only the DUP is in a position to bring the bacon home. Only by voting DUP can people place us in the position to best deliver. Exactly how much we can deliver will depend on the strength of our mandate and the need for our votes. We will respect the verdict of the people of the United Kingdom as a whole, and we will expect the national parties to respect the verdict of the people of Northern Ireland. So, in this election, I'm asking for a mandate not just for the DUP, but a mandate to deliver this Northern Ireland plan as well. We're the only party with such a plan, and we're the only party with any prospect of delivering. There will be those who may not agree with us on every issue, and there will be some who may not normally vote DUP. But in the context of what we have the opportunity to do and what it could mean for Northern Ireland, they may opt to lend us their vote for this task. I hope that they will. Give us the strength and the mandate to deliver on the Northern Ireland plan. It would be a tragedy through split votes, shredded votes, and wasted votes if Northern Ireland returned a divided, fragmented, and ineffective team to Westminster. That won't work for Northern Ireland, and it will hurt our chances of getting a good deal for the province. As this short conference comes to an end, the long, hard slog over the next 40 days is about to begin. The battle lines are set. At long last, the phony war is over. It's time for the campaign to commence. We have the team to succeed. We have the plan to deliver. Let us write the next chapter in the history of our province. On May the 7th, let us win a mandate that we can take to the corridors of power in Westminster. The broadcasters may have conspired to keep this party out of television debates, but I know that there is no force on earth that will keep our DUP team from taking our case directly to the people. Today we have gathered to launch this campaign, but from Monday we must take this campaign to every door, every street, and every hedgerow in Northern Ireland. It's our opportunity to make a real difference. So with zeal and enthusiasm, let us fight for every vote and for every seat. Strong in our commitment, resolute in our determination, eager to transform our province, we now take our case to the people. Let us play our part at the heart of the nation that we all love, for a better Northern Ireland, for a stronger United Kingdom. Only the DUP can deliver. Conference, let the election begin. Thanks very much.